Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, this is Inside the Documentary, featuring breakdowns and interviews about all the latest documentaries.
Hey guys, welcome to Inside the Documentary right here on the Popcorn Talk Network. I'm Bobby DeMuro, joined today by Isaiah Castaneda and Ryan Malady. We are talking Hot Girls Wanted. This is pornography. It's adult entertainment, so if you're not comfortable with a little swearing and some bad words, you might as well leave. If you haven't seen the documentary already, Hot Girls Wanted, go watch it right now. Hit pause. And remember, we are live streaming, so you guys can tweet us. You guys can comment on YouTube, youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network. Twitter at The Popcorn Talk, and always on the web at popcorntalknetwork.com. Before we get started today, we've got a lot of fun stuff for you, a surprise for you guys. But first off, we are doing a survey with podcast1.com. You guys can review us there. If you haven't done it already, I know you guys comment, you discuss with us. We love hearing from you. We love tweeting with you. You guys can now review us on podcast1.com. It takes like literally 3 minutes of your time. You can do that. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us if you have any suggestions. We're open to hearing those. Hopefully they're pretty nice, but we want to hear what you guys have to say. We want to hear how you guys review this show and everything on Popcorn Talk Network. So go on podcast1.com. You can review us there. Gentlemen, let's get into this. The first thing that I want to do before either one of you reacts to this film, because it's a heater, I want to show the trailer. Let's pull up the trailer and watch that. If you guys haven't seen it, here's the Hot Girls Wanted trailer.
Hello there, you sexy thing. You must know the password, right?
Of course.
Every day, a new girl turns 18. Free flight to Miami.
I found an ad on Craigslist. It was under TV shows and radio jobs. I sent them these two pictures because I didn't know what they wanted exactly. It didn't hit me until I got on the plane.
I only work with amateur girls brand new to the industry, usually like 18 to 21. I call them teeny boppers.
What's up, everyone? This is my first Vine. I'm an upcoming porn star, so please follow me.
A lot of them know it's a trap, but the money's there in their face right now, cash. They take it.
They don't care about who you actually are.
I'm trying to be famous, so gotta do what you gotta do.
The shelf life of a girl, best case scenario, a year tops.
I got offered to do 2 shoots for $2,500.
And?
Bondage.
You look so awesome. God, look at your ass, bro.
Oh, today was just so horrible though.
Oh, you still got it done.
Still got it done.
I don't have anything more to give.
That last part, I hated.
I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I could tell him no.
Just can't be good for you to have sex that much with that many different people. Ugh, so weird, but that's my job.
They all have the same stories. My parents don't know. I hope they never find out. Straight up tell them, like, your parents are gonna find out. More and more and more girls are doing it. It's gone mainstream.
All right, gentlemen, Hot Girls Wanted, that's the trailer if you haven't seen it yet. If you have, you guys are probably as interested in it as we are. We got a lot to talk about today. Before we jump into some specifics, really broadly, initial thoughts watching this thing, what'd you guys think?
I guess I'll jump right in there.
Go ahead.
All right, so I went into this saying, okay, it's a porn documentary on Netflix. It's got to be pretty publicly acceptable, right?
Right.
I mean, this isn't a PBS documentary on porn, and this isn't an HBO Real Sex episode, but I was pleasantly surprised to see how far they pushed the envelope when it comes to showing the real sides of the industry. I mean, they showed some pretty graphic stuff in this documentary on Netflix. I mean, anyone's allowed to go on Netflix, right? And I was actually I say pleasantly surprised because I think that a big point of this this show, which was brilliantly done, was to show that it's not black and white anymore. There's not just a thin line that you can step across into, morally unsound territory. It's a very broad gray, 50 shades of gray, if you will. And I think that this documentary showing this explicit content and the stories of these girls, it brushed shoulders with what's socially acceptable as we see it today. And I'm gonna watch it a few more times later.
No, I actually really loved the documentary. I was actually expecting more porn, to be honest. I thought, okay, it's a documentary on porn, so right off the bat we're gonna see tits and ass and whatever. And it was not that. It showed a very touching and real side of the porn industry that kind of made me sit back and be like, I don't know if I really want to continue watching porn anymore.
Continue.
Yeah.
You're admitting.
Yeah, I think everybody watches porn.
No, I give you a hard time because that's the thing. Everybody does. They put statistics in the documentary. It's more popular than these amount of websites. They get these amount of downloads. Like, I'm sorry, cut the shit, okay? Yeah. We all do it, maybe different degrees, and maybe there are people who aren't, but the vast majority of this culture does. And it's time to start looking at these people like Kendall, like Stella Mae's boyfriend says in this film. Yeah. It's time to start looking at them as women, wives, girlfriends, sisters, daughters, whatever the case may be. They're not just a performer. There's something that they go to off screen, and that's a dumb thing to say. It sounds overly simple, but it's true. And I think documentaries like this move the needle in that way.
Right.
Is there a place for porn? Is there a place for respectable porn? We can argue that. People will say yes and no. But documentaries like this are going to show you, what? What goes on behind the scenes may not always be worth it when you get to the on-camera product.
That's true. Well, and it shows how the porn industry has changed to the point where it's so easily accessible, and it's not just these studio-made, high quality,
Wicked.
these porns that you'd buy in the porn store on VHS tapes. Now it's all pro-am or professional amateur. Anyone with a camera and an internet connection can make a pornography nowadays. And when you're talking about respectable porn, it's been around for a while. I mean, it's been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Even the ancient Egyptians, ancient Minoans before them
Indians.
showed depictions. Everyone has some kind of depiction of some kind of pornographic content. You look at the geishas, basically the business of sexuality, selling sex in all its forms, has been around in human history since we started enjoying sex. And so it's a very primal thing, but it's so interesting to see that primal, instinctive drive, that sexual drive, turn into this really organic and almost, all-encompassing world of pornography that we see today on the internet.
And we're talking about the social media of porn. Anybody can start a web series. The Popcorn Talk Network has a little bit more logistics behind it than just a camera on a tripod. But anybody can do stuff like this, quality aside. Anybody can start a Twitter account and a YouTube page, and hey, they've got something. It's the same way in porn. You're not going to put it on YouTube, but it's the similar structure. If you got a camera, if you've got talent, and there's no shortage of talent as we learn, you can do your own porn. Forget, Vivid, Wicked, Hustler, Penthouse. You don't need those guys anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's a weird dynamic because you're finding a lot of these girls, they say it in the film, no more playing girls next door. These are the real thing. We got the real thing. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking at the women portrayed in this film, these 18, 19-year-olds, and I'm saying, I could have gone to high school with her. I could have gone to college with her. They're looking the exact same as people you've grown up with, and you say, it really is the real thing. It's not surgery and cosmetic surgery and this stuff. These are just normal people.
But isn't that a little bit of the fantasy though, that we have actually, I don't know, if you went to school with any porn stars, but attending school,
chances are we probably have.
Right. That's true now.
There were stories in school where girls and guys were doing things to get by or to pay tuition. This was so real. It was very real. You couldn't avoid it. You had to think like, okay, this girl is hot. Even the guy, what's his name? Riley.
The talent manager. Yeah.
He also admitted to being a porn star. So that was interesting to me to know that. We could be sitting across somebody or eating across somebody and, they're a potential porn star.
I start to see the parallels of the other sides of the entertainment industry, if you want to call porn in the entertainment industry. Nowadays, anyone can make their own YouTube show or be a stand-up comedian or come out with their own song and, put it out there for people to buy. Just like that, you have everyone entering this industry for whatever reasons. Maybe it's for money or for fame or to escape the situation that they're in or for adventure. But they don't all make it to porn star status. What we see in this film is that these girls are coming in because any young girl can do it. It's very easily accessible. Get paid a little bit. But then after that, kind of just burn out. Because just like the actors and the musicians of the world, only a small percentage make it to that level where you're making the big money and actually a lifelong career.
Yeah.
So
now,
it's not. I can see the parallels in it, but I was really surprised to see just how easy it was and just how many girls are getting involved in this.
All I can say is, considering how easy it is and how ubiquitous it is, I hope that this will help the prudishness of our society fade a little bit. You know, I understand there's always going to be a stigma of doing something like this, just like there's a stigma of doing a lot of things. There's a stigma of getting tattoos. You know, there are different stigmas at different levels. I just hope that as many girls and men, let's be honest, as many women and men are making these decisions to enter this industry, that we stop treating them like persona non grata when they get out of it, you know?
Sure.
Because these girls are going to catch a lot of flack afterwards, and they're finding that out if they haven't already.
But that was one of the things that actually, it really made me sit back and think, especially when we talked about the shelf life of each girl. I mean, Bobby, I don't know if you want to touch on it or talk about it, but it was just crazy to me when I heard Riley say, no, I mean, what's his name? The other male
John
actor.
Anthony.
Okay, when he said tops, best case scenario, 1 year, I was floored. I was like, no way. You know?
Well, there's not, all right, like let's say you want to go out and you want to be an actor, right? Chances are you're not going to get a couple $1,000s for your first job ever. You know, it's a very appealing, instant process. Like you go in, you get all of a sudden you're surrounded with these new people, this new life, somewhat glamorous considering that you just probably turned 18 and you're just living with your parents or maybe just in high school, and you're hit with all these things. You get money, and it's almost like a reverse effect. You know, and then you can't get jobs and you can't get work. There's that initial, that freshness. Oh, we haven't seen this girl before. And let's use her and lose her.
And when you're 18, if you have financial problems, if you're trying to escape your hometown, which some of these girls said they were, if you're trying to escape, you know, bad relationships or whatever else, you say, hey, you can make, you know, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a day. That sounds pretty damn good, you know. And for a while, you're like, wait a second, I like having sex, whatever. And then the snowball starts to, you know, fall down the mountain. Then it gets serious.
Then you start to realize, or I guess some of the girls start to realize, wow, this isn't going the direction I thought it would. It's not as glamorous as I thought. Do I really want the money that much? And these girls ask themselves these questions. But as John Anthony said, he said best case scenario, if they don't know how to work the game. 1 year. So some girls end up finding out, okay, this is how I manage myself. This is how I manage my social media. This is how I can maybe go on a webcam or whatever it is.
I want to make a distinction there. I believe he said if they don't get into the game.
Get into the game.
And I believe what he is talking about is the high-class paid escort prostitution that is also rampant in porn.
Really?
He might be talking about the webcam thing and you know, the people trying to become Jenna Jameson type people. That may be what he means if they work that game. I took it to mean the negative game, the other side. If they don't get spit out the bottom, where they're doing this high-class escorting, this prostitution, because that's how they have to pay the bills because there's no other option. That's the dark side of that game. That's what I took that to mean.
That's an interesting point.
And I wish that they had gone into that, but it's almost better that they didn't in this film, because this isn't about the end of a career. This is about the start. This is about these 18-year-old girls just coming in.
A little bit about both too, because you have, you know, the main character. We follow her story from beginning to end. Tressa, she gets into the game and gets out of it, just like I'm sure countless other girls have done before. It was kind of just a glimpse into the chapter of the journey that these girls take. But not every girl's journey ends up the same way.
No, it doesn't. And actually, we have a little surprise for you guys today with one girl. Before we get to that, I want to tell you about something real cool that we're doing here at Popcorn Talk and AfterBuzz. You can apply now. So do you guys like to dance?
I'm a phenomenal dancer, Bobby.
I knew you were going to say that. So there is a new show on ABC. It is ABC's newest competition special. It is called Dance Battle America. It is founded by the Popcorn Talk and AfterBuzz founder, Maria Menounos. You guys might know her.
Of course.
She's the best.
She's on E! Now. Don't know if you've heard about that network. It's on TV. No big deal.
It's up and coming.
And Julianne Hough, Dancing with the Stars, of course. They founded this thing. So basically, ABC is doing something America. This started as Maria and Julianne had this fearsome dance battle on social media for the last couple holiday seasons. For those of you who maybe follow AfterBuzz and the Popcorn Talk and have for a while, you probably saw the tweets and stuff around, Christmas every time. There are these marathon dance battles. ABC said, you know what? Celebrities have picked this up. Kate Hudson picked this up. Amber Riley picked this up. We should do a TV show. And that is exactly what they're doing. So here's the thing. You guys at home, and perhaps you, Ryan, can battle it out and have a chance to fly to Los Angeles. You're already here. But you can fly to Los Angeles and compete on the show. It is scheduled this fall. So here's what to do if you want to a chance to dance on the network. Go to dancebattleamericacasting.com, dancebattleamericacasting.com. There's instructions there, how to submit a video, what you got to do. You got to have moves. I don't know what your favorite move is.
It's the reverse cummerbund.
Maybe don't do that. That sounds dangerous. And then post on social media. Use the hashtag DanceBattleABC if you have any questions there. So, okay.
Awesome.
We have a little a treat for you guys at home. We were able to speak to Miss Brooklyn Daniels. She was in this film. You guys know her. She's obviously entered the industry in this film. I believe we saw her first day on camera in this documentary. And Ryan, when he's not dancing in his free time, managed to track her down. So Ryan, I understand she's on the line right now. Brooklyn, hello.
Hello.
This is Bobby DeMuro, Isaias Castaneda, and you know Ryan, of course. How are you doing? Where are you calling from? Are you in a secret location?
I am not a secret location. I'm here in Gainesville, Florida.
Very cool. Very cool. So tell us a little bit. Ryan talked to you, obviously, but we want to talk to you about this film. I guess first reaction, before we get into specifics, what did you think of the documentary?
Honestly, I was shocked about how little they showed on the girls after their career in porn and what happened after, and mainly before. But overall, the film was extremely well put together, extremely informative, and very shocking to a lot of people. A lot of my friends sat down and watched it with me, and they were all so astonished. They were like, "Wow, we never knew," And it was very eye-opening for a lot of people, especially me.
That's so you're talking about your friends back in Florida, back in Gainesville, so they didn't know about you at all.
They didn't, not in the beginning. Until probably like 3 or 4 months after I started, in the industry, they found out. So, but, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know. Hey, Brooklyn, good to talk to you again. We had a good conversation earlier, a great conversation, and I'd like to kind of, you have an incredible story, and I'd like for you to share just a little bit with my hosts here and with everyone listening, just kind of like what your life was like leading up to your decision to enter the industry, and how you've changed since then.
Wow. All right. I'll probably take it back starting about me being 16 years old. I was in the foster care system. My parents they'd given up on me, and I was alone for a while, and I had taken that as a big, huge downfall in my life. And I started to go looking for love in all the wrong places, and I was very, rebellious, I guess I could say. And then I got my stuff together around the time when I had gotten my foster family, and they adopted me. And I was doing fine again, but they also got pregnant, and there went my second pair of parents, and I was alone again. And right back out to looking for attention, anything I could, anyone that would just pay attention to me, or, it was very bad. I was looking for love in all the wrong places, which is typical. But I was very promiscuous.
You were a little promiscuous before the industry.
Yes, I was. Before the industry, I was extremely promiscuous, and I was extremely lonely. I was very depressed, but I had a great life. I had a wonderful life. I had my own apartment. I was going to college. I had a job. I had my own car, but I was alone, and that created me to be very depressed, and I was looking for an exit. and this opportunity came about. And
in the form of a link on Craigslist?
Yep. I responded to an ad on Craigslist, and he was very excited. He was willing to get me out like that weekend, and it was a quick escape, go make some money, and I took it, and I went down, and I began my career, and let me tell you, it changed my whole life.
Brooklyn, let me ask you this.
No longer, yeah?
Let me ask you this. Sorry about that. Was Riley straightforward with you? Did he tell you what exactly you were going to be doing, or did he beat around the bush and tell you, just going to come out and hang out on set and do just a couple of things? I mean, did you know that you were going to be doing porn?
Yes, I did. It was very clear. The ad itself said STD testing, and any girl that would have read that would know that being a model did not require STD testing. They don't care what you have. They don't care if you have a disease. You're just a model. So I figured at that point, I was like, okay, this is probably porn. I replied back to it. And he was very informative from the very first phone call, what exactly I was going to be doing, what I could and what I didn't have to do, things I could say no about, things I could say yes about. And he was very informative. So I was very well informed before making my decision to do this, that I was about to be going to do porn. Maybe it didn't hit me right away, but I definitely knew.
And so you went through this. We went through this experience with you from the beginning of your journey into Riley's sorority house, kind of into the industry, and now you've got this massive following on social media, and you are now one of the stars of this awesome new documentary on Netflix. And are you still working in the porn industry?
Am I still working in the porn industry?
Yeah, are you still working?
I am still working, actually. It may have slowed down since the initial, me coming into the industry, but I still have work.
Okay, so some of the girls don't, and some of the girls do. You and I believe Lucy are still working. Mm-hmm. And what have you learned since coming in fresh, 18, 19, brand new to the industry? Now it's been about a year and a half, 2 years since you started, and you're still working, which, you broke at least John Anthony's prediction of how long a girl is supposed to work. How's your experience in the industry changed from being a brand new girl to now more experienced and working still?
Honestly, I feel like I've aged. Honestly, brain-wise, mentally, I feel like I am way more advanced. I'm way more confident in myself. I've learned a lot about myself. It's mainly improving when you go through something like this, because you see yourself on these films. You see the way you act, and you can tell a huge difference. I can tell at least a huge difference in my life from the way I was when I first began in this industry looking for an escape and all this publicity, to now what I'm looking for out of life. It's completely different. And the industry definitely shows you a lot about yourself, and I think that's a good thing for girls like me, because I started out, before I started with this, I was doing the wrong things, and I didn't really have a lot of self-respect. Now, I respect myself way more than I did before, so much more than I did before. Before, I would, take the opportunity to sleep with a guy just because he wanted to spend time with me, and now you can't even get my pants off. I have a boyfriend, and he is the only person I have slept with outside of the industry since I began.
Wow, that's incredible.
I'm curious now,
Yeah.
Brooklyn, what's the long play for you? Does this become a career? Because I see other women, I see like Chanel Preston, Asa Akira, they go behind the camera, they start producing, they start directing. Have you thought about any of that? I mean, where will you be in 10 years if you had your say?
Honestly, if I would like to be an actress, a mainstream actress, not a porn actress. That was my main goal from the beginning. I've always wanted to be in the movies, the Hollywood movies, A and B films, not porn film, you know. So that was my main goal, you know. But I hope that within 10 years I can see myself on a few big movies.
Now, let me ask you this. Have you started sending comp cards, or have you started applying for A and B films, or have you done nothing at all?
I've actually have this site that I've been working with. It's called Explore Talent, and I actually have an agent on there. And I've been trying to get a few A and B films, which I've had a few interviews and stuff, but they were out of my reach at the time. Okay. So, and I was in acting class before I started in the industry when I was in college, and so I am trying to reach out. And I also have someone in Vegas that is trying to help me get into a few things. So I'm trying to pursue my career in acting. But it's just, you know, everything takes time.
Brooklyn, now we were kind of having a debate before we've spoken to you earlier on the show about how porn actresses and actors, any on-screen talent in porn, is treated after their careers and kind of the stigma that's attached with doing porn. Do you think there's going to be any pushback with you, not just in the mainstream acting industry, but just in life? Will people judge you for this professionally, or do you think we've come to a time where people are going to start accepting this more, and women who make these choices more?
Well, I think that there's a stigma that is going to always follow me around because of my decisions. But also, I feel like that it's a little more accepted than it was in the old days, you know, where if you showed something on television, that television channel itself would be banned and burned to the ground. But nowadays, you know, people see that it's happening. Regardless of whether we want to talk about it or do something about it, it's still happening. And well, a lot of people want to know about it, you know, and get and be informed about it. And I feel like a lot of people are going to start more accepting it, because when they hear what these girls gone through, you know, they're going to not label them as much as whores or attention hogs or seekers, and they're gonna I don't know, have more of a different approach on it, more of a civilized, okay, wow, that's an actual girl, that's someone's daughter, you know, why should we throw stones at her when, you know, she just made this decision because maybe it's what she wanted, or maybe it's, you know, maybe she always wanted to be a porn star, or maybe she didn't. And I don't know, I feel like it's going to be more accepted nowadays.
Yeah, there's definitely, what we see is a lot of girls are entering, at least just to discover what it is, this industry, for all different reasons. Whether it's, we were saying, you know, whether it's to escape their current situation, or maybe they just love having sex and figured, hey, why not get paid for it?
Yeah.
And everyone has their own reasons for getting in and for getting out. And where you stand now, I mean, from what we're hearing, you feel like you're in a better place than you were a couple of years ago. You have more respect for yourself. You feel like you're doing more with your life, and you have a boyfriend who cares about you. And but I would want to ask you, because you know, we're talking about this is becoming more and more acceptable and almost more appropriate, maybe not appropriate, but acceptable for girls to go out and do. I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of people looking your direction for maybe some guidance, and maybe as a role model, and maybe just as someone to relate to. So if you were going to give any young women who might feel like they have a need for an escape some advice, or maybe just make it more personal towards yourself, if you could go back in time 2 years and talk to yourself, what would you say?
Well, that's something that I was hoping to talk about as well. I have had various emails from young women under the age of 18 emailing me and telling me their life stories and asking me, you know, based on my abusive relationships and terrible relationship with my parents, or some of them have great relationships with their parents, what I think that they should do. And honestly, if I were to go back 2 years and be able to ask myself what I thought that I should do about my decision in porn, I would not have wanted to give myself advice. At least I wouldn't, you know, because if I advised myself to go into porn and something bad were to happen to me, or I make the wrong decision or something like that, I would have blamed me for advising me, you know, to go ahead and do it. And I can't give advice to young women who are searching, you know, to for my opinion, because I can't. If I advise them poorly, they're going to blame me. And even if I do advise them greatly, it's all going to be revolved around, well, I talked to Brooklyn, and she said that it was probably best, and now I've gone through this, this, and this, and I can't believe I listened to her. And honestly, these are complete strangers. I cannot give good enough advice for them, because I wouldn't have wanted me to advise me to go into porn. You know, I wouldn't.
Sure.
I just wouldn't have wanted it. It would have been totally different. If I had gotten hurt, I would have blamed myself. And I don't want anybody to blame me.
True. It's one of those catch-22s. Then you'd say, you know, because everything worked out for you, you'd go back and tell yourself, hey, it's okay. But if you were in a different situation right now, maybe a worse situation, I'm sure you'd go back and say, hey, don't go down that road. So I guess it's all a personal journey then, right?
Yep, it is. And I don't know them well enough, you know, to be advising underage. I don't even know if I can advise underage women to go into porn, because and if I were to, like what I told one girl, her parents in her life, do not kick your parents out of your life. Talk to them, involve them. Look what happened to Tressa. She involved her mom. Her mom loved her dearly. You never know what your parents are going to say, so just keep your parents involved. And if you don't have parents, you know, go get a support group and I don't know, maybe talk to a counselor or something, but don't go actively looking for someone who has a success story in the industry and think that it's going to work out successful for you, because everyone's different.
And Brooklyn,
that's great advice.
Last question. I don't want to take all your time, but this is incredibly insightful, I think, for us to hear from somebody in this industry. And to be honest, as men who watch porn, you know, occasionally, we'll say, to hear somebody who's a performer, this is a fascinating conversation. I guess the last thing I want to know from you, our last question, what do people need to know about you, either the performer or the person, that didn't come across in the documentary? What do you think we should know about Brooklyn Daniels?
Well, I don't know. What should you guys know about me?
Well,
we only know what we saw.
I mean, I guess we know a little bit more now, but
I
from
think
what we
that
saw.
everyone should have known my decisions for why I became in the industry, and not just my decisions, but all the other performers. Not just what happened to us in the industry, but what happened. Why did we make these decisions before, you know, the industry? Because I may have made my reasons, you know, for the wrong reasons, and they may have been right, but I still think that everyone should have been able to hear why that these young ladies go into porn, because I'm pretty sure that this documentary would have gone completely different if they were to truly know what we've been through in our lives and what we're running from. And parents, please listen to your children. Listen to them. Spend time with them. Don't just give them up and think that, oh, you know, it's not worth my time, or my daughter wants to go into porn, I'm going to be mad at her. No, it's a cause for a red flag when a child wants to go into porn. I'm not saying that porn is a red flag, but a daughter going into porn or a son going into porn, you need to talk to them. You need to support them. I don't care if you don't like it. You need to, you know, support your children, and they need to have someone to fall back on. Otherwise, they may be making the wrong decisions.
Brooklyn,
for the wrong reasons.
I have one final question, and this is in regards to being a documentary filmmaker. Can I ask you, how did the filmmakers build a relationship with you guys and get you guys to actually be you guys on camera and be real and not hold back? Can you tell us a little bit about that process? And I don't know if Ryan has another question after that.
Well, when I first got there, of course, as soon as I walked into the house, my very first day, there were cameras in my face. The documentary people were there from the very beginning for me. And they told us that here's what the documentary is going to be about. It's about the girls and why you guys decided to be in the industry and what's going on and what we go through. And it was really, because in porn, they don't sit down and they say, hey, Brooklyn, let's interview you. And most girls, when they do get interviewed like that, they're all like, oh, I just want the fame and the money because you're on a porn set. These people, they seem sincere about, we really want to know you. We don't just want to know who you are on set. We want to know who you are off set. And that's not an opportunity everyone gets. not every girl gets to go out there and get interviewed and be on a documentary to talk about their lives or anything like that. So it was a huge opportunity to help us, you know, tell our stories a little bit, and who could turn that down, you know?
That's great. I would like to steal the last question, if that's okay. The last. Everyone got their own last question, okay? All right. So, Brooklyn. So yeah, you're talking about these documentary people coming in and just filming your lives. A totally different type of filmmaking than pornography. But I couldn't help but just fall in love with the characters. You guys as a cast, and we saw. I mean, the main story was Tressa, so we got to see her ins and outs, her beginning and end. But when I saw, you know, the other girls like you and Lucy and Jade, I couldn't help but say, I want to see more. What's going on? You know, what are these guys doing now with their lives? I wanted to see it become I always do this, but I wanted to see like it become a reality show afterwards, you know. And no one likes the way the words reality show tastes going down. So call it a documentary series or something, whatever. Put it on HBO. But I guess just the last question is, how can we and everyone else listening who might be interested in your journey follow you into the future and support your career? Can we follow you on Twitter,
you guys
your
can
website?
follow me on Twitter. I have an Instagram you guys can also follow. My Twitter handle is at BrooklynDXXX. And my Instagram is Brooke, BROOK, 420_princess.
Nice.
You're talking to people in California, Brooklyn. We're totally down with that.
We're down. Beautiful story, Brooklyn. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much,
so much,
Brooklyn. We really appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time with us. That was insightful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Wow.
She's amazing. Wow. Honestly, after talking with her, you know, this is a girl who is mature, well-spoken. She has this outlook on life that I think is, you know, can't be substituted for anything else. I mean, she's gotten the experiences that, I mean, more than you'd think, but really not that many people have gone through. And to hear her her call to action for parents to maintain positive relationships with their kids and for kids to reach out to those who might be support groups, I think was just wonderful. It was brilliant having her on. Thank you again, Brooklyn.
And you know, for the folks listening at home now, obviously we usually break these things down film-wise, and then we break them down story-wise. We don't get to do that today, and we don't have too much time left. But I think her interview is maybe more insightful than anything we could have talked about. But I want to talk about some things very quickly. Filming style, lack of a narrator, really lack of a graphics package for all intents and purposes. What did you guys think about the production style of this film?
You know, I actually love the fact that it was more of a POV, you know, point of view camera.
Just like the porn they're shooting.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I was actually very happy that they didn't use, I mean, it didn't seem like they had high production value. I mean, obviously, I don't think...
They did well. It's a well-produced movie, but I know what you're saying. It's not over-the-top, gaudy, beautiful.
Right.
It's not what we talked about last week with Out of Nothing. Out of Nothing, there's a time and a place for that, and those guys killed it. Mm-hmm. This is a different topic and deserved a different attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see any, like, pull-ins or pull-outs or, you know, just, like, I didn't really see a lot of rigs, or I think they had some audio equipment, but it was minimal.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
Everything was very minimal. You know, they'd show a girl an experience and maybe even mention, all right, it's my first day, and then they'll quick clip, you know, quick cuts to like little pieces of that particular porn scene, and then show their little graphic of their Twitter following going up. So you get this feeling, this montage feeling of you're on this journey with them. Yeah. I felt like I went on the entire 3-month journey, even though it was only 80-something minutes long. But I also loved how raw it was. I mean, you could tell they would just give these girls a camera and just have them say, like, here, go ahead and film yourself and what you do with you and your boyfriend today and tomorrow and whatever. And then they use that selfie footage, you know, because it was so intimate and real, and it was the kind of relationship you don't ever get to have with a girl in the industry. So I like that film style.
I'll tell you too, knowing what I know about the industry on a professional level, this is one thing I really appreciate about this documentary is it's not preachy. It could have very easily been narrator over the top. These girls are being taken advantage of. Every year, girls sink into porn. It wasn't that. The audience gets to make our own decisions about it because there are benefits to what these girls are doing. Personal benefits for them if they want the money, if they want the notoriety. What Brooklyn was saying, if this is a stepping stone to mainstream acting, there are benefits for these girls. There are also negatives. And this documentary let those girls tell their stories, and it let us make the decisions. They have statistics, and obviously the statistics you choose are going to bias you, but that's true of any film, and there has to probably be something to tie that in. But I appreciate that there's no narrator, there's no talking heads. It's just these girls are nothing. It's like watching MTV True Life. You know, we get to watch it, we get to make the call. I'm sure half the people out there are going to say porn is terrible, end it all, do this, and the other half may say, hey, it's not that cut and dry. But that's a debate that we all need to have as viewers, not the documentarian having it for us. And so I appreciate them not doing that in this particular film.
That's a brilliant point. They did great. And I also, to add on to that, I liked how the thin slice of the porn industry that they decided to cover. I mean, porn is a pretty massive industry.
Yeah.
Anything you can think of, they've probably done it in porn. Robot bakery porn, they've probably done it. You know, and these filmmakers decided to take what I would say, I guess, is the most relatable
or the most accessible,
and the
definitely.
the most accessible, the most modern, relevant porn category, which would be pro-amateur, which is that thin slice that seems to be getting bigger and bigger part of the pie. And the fact that they chose that over anything else, I think, was the perfect decision.
Yeah, if you've got a camera, two people who are over 18 and a 2257 notice at home, you can do this, you know, in certain states, obviously not everywhere, but you can do this in a lot of places. And that's, I think, the value of this film is how easy it is to get done. That's what's scary about it. It may also be what's intriguing about it in kind of an interesting way, you know, aside from if these girls are being taken advantage of, if the facial abuse guys are the worst people in the world or not, you know.
Well, yeah, and I haven't personally experienced any of that specific porn.
Sound disappointed.
Yeah, no, I'm just, it's, I mean, there was a myriad of different awesome, like, facts and stuff thrown throughout the documentary, but one that caught my eye was that, was it 40% of all porn depicts violence against women.
Right.
I want to know how they came. What do you mean depicts? What is the threshold? What do you do? Is it rough sex? How do you determine rough sex? What are the actions you take to quantify that?
Sure. Yeah, you know? I was curious to know where they got that information, but it also isn't that hard to believe either, because we've all seen porn where it is a little rough, or maybe, you know, a spanking here or there. I mean, is that violence against women? Because when you get into, you know, the passionate tumbles of coitus.
All right, Sheldon.
things happen. But I thought that was an interesting mention by the documentary, because you know, they could have gone the route of, hey, you know, this is another call to action, you know, end violence against women. Look at this is absurd. And it wasn't any of that. There wasn't any political biases or, you know, those social commentaries that they could have very easily, you know, pointed a gun at.
And some of the people come across well. Riley comes across very well. It looks like he treated them well. It looks like they liked him. I know they're all kind of living in a college house, but this is just a product of being young. It's not a product of him, you know, running them through like cattle. I mean, he came across fairly well considering his job. I think it's another thing to mention too, in this documentary, it's outside of the scope here, but with that violence to women stat, a very, very quickly increasing niche in porn besides this pro-am stuff is women-friendly, female-friendly, woman-focused porn, which is generally more sensual, you know, more focused on a woman's pleasure in the scene. There's a lot of production houses that are doing this, and there's a lot of female porn directors now. There are more female porn directors and producers. Chanel Preston, Asa Akira, who I mentioned in that thing, are two major ones, but there's a lot of them. So times are changing. None of those things this film would have explored, so you can't burn them for this.
Right.
But I think people at home, if you're not familiar with it, it's not all violence towards women. And facial abuse and these guys are a very, very, very extreme subset. Problematic, troubling, weird. At best, it's bizarre. At worst, it's scary. But it's a subset. It's not, you know, half the industry.
And we were talking about this behind camera. Actually, we talked about the fact that all this facial abuse stuff, most of it is probably scripted. You know, the girls go in, and
or at least there's a shtick. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you made an interesting point. There's women that are going into the porn industry now as leaders in the forefront of it. And, you know, we're talking about equality of men and women in all categories, and you can't leave porn out of it, even though it's probably safe to say probably more men watch porn. I mean, I don't want to be quoted here, but I would imagine men
for sure. But there's a larger female population than you probably think.
But there probably is,
Yeah.
and you know, look in society nowadays, we have this pill, the female version of Viagra that's coming out.
Right.
I mean, the sexuality that a woman can own and conquer herself, I mean, is being more and more, you know, put out there into the world, which I think is great. I think that sexuality is something that should be cherished and held on tight on to top of the mountaintop. Now I got a little
no, equality.
Little notebook there, but yeah, no, equality and sexuality in this country and across the world is starting to find an equilibrium, and I think that is a beautiful thing.
And I'm interested in what our viewers have to say about this, actually. So if you're commenting on YouTube, do it now about this. This is the discussion. Because feminists, not all, but a certain, you know, school of feminism is going to say, porn is terrible. You know, this does not depict women well. This objectifies women.
Them, yeah.
And you can make that argument for sure. But there are other schools and there are other women, and I'm sure Brooklyn may be part of that. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but performers like Brooklyn may say, wait a second. This empowers me. This makes me the sexual object. Remember, she said in the film, let me find the quote. She said, "You're just so sexy and I just want to fuck you" is a boost of confidence. So to her, there is an insecurity there. But it's also the one where she's saying, I'm the unattainable one. You want me. It's not the other way around. And depending on your perspective, people make that argument. So that's an interesting thing I want to know with viewers is, does this film depict these girls as maybe in control of their own sexuality? You know, are they just being taken advantage of, or are they entering this willingly saying, you know what, I'm willing to do this, and this is a good thing, and this is a positive thing? I think it probably falls in the middle of those two.
Sure.
But I'd be interested to see where viewers come down on that and where that debate takes people.
Right. No,
So-
it's there's a lot of hot topics for this Hot Girls Wanted documentary. Definitely. Sexuality, obviously, you know, one of the main ones. Violence against women, equality, the porn industry on the rise, the digital era and how attainable sex is, and the boundaries, the borders that we're pushing against every single year. It just crosses new boundaries, and I loved it. Hot Girls Wanted. I want to see another one. Hot Girls Still Wanted.
Hot Girls Wanted 2. They could do the documentaries like they do porns. You know, Hot Girls Wanted 47.
47 and a half.
Hot Girls Wanted. Okay, girls. All right, too. Bring them on.
Final thoughts, guys. Last takeaway you want viewers to have from the movie, from the film, whether it's, you know, logistics, production-wise, or story-wise. Final thought.
Production-wise, I say it was good. I loved it. I think you guys did an incredible job. The filmmakers did an incredible job. Great way of building a relationship with the talent, and this means everyone on camera. The other thing is just go watch the documentary. Make up your own mind. You know, you decide what you want. Don't let our decision or the way we feel about porn or what we've said influence your decision. Check it out. Go on Netflix and, you know, let us know. Go and comment, and we'd love to hear from you guys.
Definitely, yeah. I could talk about it all day. It's one of those things that everyone knows about it. It's in our lives at one point or another, and it's so taboo, it seems, but this documentary breaks new ground in showing us the real personal side of it, the human story behind the porn industry that I've never really seen before. So definitely go check it out. And you know, real quick, Bobby, before you and your brilliant as always closing remarks, I'd like to ask, play a little game real quick of what's your porn star name. And if you haven't played this at home, most people have, but the first name is the name of your first pet, and your last name is the name of the street that you grew up on.
I thought it was middle name and street, but okay, I'll play with you. My porn first name, first pet, and street.
Yes.
It would be Shadow Locust.
Okay. Ooh!
Shadow Locust.
Ninja porn.
Huh. Oh, mine is
Shadow Locust. That's great.
Timon Hill. Have you Timon and Pumbaa from The Lion?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Timon Hill.
Timon
that
Hill.
ain't bad.
Timon Hill. All right, I like that. And mine would be Bosco Fern.
Bosco Fern.
Something tells me Bosco Fern loves to dance.
Something tells me that name's taken because it's so awesome.
If you have seen the film already and you just haven't seen the surrounding materials, hotgirlswantedmovie.com for more information on that. Directed by Jill Bauer and Ronna Gradus. Produced by Rashida Jones, Brittany Huckabee, Ronna Gradus, and Jill Bauer. And music by Daniel Ahern, to shout them out. I thought one of the better films we've done. I didn't have too many complaints. story-wise, creation-wise, in terms of the documentary stuff. Good stuff from them. So if you guys want to talk to us, hit the comments in YouTube. We check all those. You can also review us on iTunes and stuff like that. And remember, podcast1.com if you want to review us at the Popcorn Talk Network, generally and specifically on Inside the Documentary. Ryan, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, where can they connect with you?
You guys can follow me at Ryan Mality.
Oh, that was a letdown. Not Bosco
Fern 420 Prince? No. Yeah, just follow me at Ryan Mality. Keep up with what I'm doing. I'd love to talk with you guys. Hit me up.
And you can reach me at Castañeda_Isa on Twitter, and also look us up on Fidelandia.com.
Your own film, which we should talk about on a show one day. And I am at Bobby DeMuro on Twitter, at Mr. Bobby DeMuro on Instagram. Gentlemen, that's it. Thank you very much for joining me. We got a special thing for you guys coming up in a couple weeks, but I'm only going to leave a surprise. You guys can find out what it is. That's it this week on Inside the Documentary. As always, hit subscribe on YouTube and iTunes if you haven't yet, and we will see you guys next Sunday.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.